Hey, this is Charles Caldwell, and this is week two's video for Fundamentals Part 2, where we take our week one's app and then make four changes to it, two functional and two cosmetic. So just like last week, we're going to do a demo of the app where we walk through the two cosmetic changes, and then we'll take a quick glance at the code where we walk through the two functional changes. So without further ado, let's jump on the computer and take a look. So here we are on the computer, and we have the emulator over here, and the four changes here. And I also brought up an image of what my app looked like last week, just for a little bit of comparison. So the first thing on the cosmetic changes list is to swap the positioning of the master and detail fragments. Let's launch this and we see, taking a look at last week's. So they are completely swapped, master and detail. We also have the change to change the background color of all app components on the master to blue, and all the details on all the components on the details fragment to green. As we can see, that is exactly what we did here. We even changed the text to be a little bit more readable. And I actually, just as a quick side note, I actually got these colors from a great Google website where they have all their color palettes for the material design. So it's a great place to just kind of go and get some color ideas that line up to material. So that's it for the cosmetic changes. The two functional changes, for the two functional changes, we'll take a look at the code. The first one here, create a helper class that handles all network and file storage operations. If you remember my video from last week, I actually gave a quick glance at helper class that already existed in my code for that. So there's not a whole lot of new stuff to show there, but I will show it anyways. So I have the cache data file and the network connectivity file. Those are the two classes that have static methods on them that deal with those. And one could probably also take the network, handles all network operations. You could probably also take that to mean a separate class for the async task, and indeed we also have a separate file just for that, which is tied in with this one here. So this functional change is to utilize some interfaces to communicate between the async task class, which exists in a separate file, and the fragments. So let's take a glance at that just to show where that is. So we do have a Weather API async class that extends async task, so that's in its own separate file, and it does utilize a couple interfaces, one for the detailed fragment and one for the master's fragment, and that is these three interfaces here. So let's just take a quick glance at these. Actually, let's look at this. So taking a quick glance at the weather details fragment that has this display weather info, and that just takes the data that comes back from the API call and displays it in the details fragment. And then this one updates the locations list. So if you remember, when we pull in a brand new zip code, it doesn't actually display the city name, but when we click on it, it updates it with the city name. That's what's getting called there. And then we have this locations listener, which actually is implemented by the activity, the main activity, and that is utilized by the two fragments to get the context and to get the location, an array list of locations, which is maintained by the main activity. So I think that about covers the four changes. Didn't really have a whole lot of issues this week. It went pretty smoothly. And looking over next week's material, it looks like we're going to learn about intents. That sounds pretty sweet, so I think I might actually jump on that a smidge early. So until next week, thank you for watching.